very, very encouraging that this morning tech stocks are down, especially Google. Look at this. Opening bell right now. Google is down 8%. Microsoft is down 8%. Horrible tech day, yet Bitcoin is holding upwards. Now, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Well, let's thank the bears for this, okay? The bears that couldn't help themselves and loaded up with all the shorts, they're feeling not so good this morning. 24-hour time span, over $1 billion worth of shorts liquidated. Let's just refresh and see. 1.13 billion to be exact. Okay? That's a lot of shorts liquidated. Now, I did mention most of it is on FTX. I don't know why. Yesterday it was like 73%. Now it's 77%. Massive amount of liquidation on FTX. Actually, I can't speculate why it's happening at FTX. But overall, this is what's driving Bitcoin upwards. There are definitely people buying, driving price up, and then you have a cascading effect as more and more shorts get liquidated, and then short squeeze happens and it drives things up. That's exactly what's happening. Over $1 billion liquidated. That's a massive amount, okay? Within a very short amount of time. Plus, now you have a little bit more FOMO. People are jumping in a little more. You know, you get the picture. But why is it all on FTX? I'm still curious about this. You know, when you have $1 billion liquidated, it goes to the other side, right? So you have 1.13 billion shorts taken away and you're given to the longs. But why on FTX? Is SBF collecting that? Is he counter trading all these guys so that he just made a cool 863 million and now he has enough money to do whatever else he wants in the industry, because we know SBF is trying to be like BlackRock of crypto. Who knows? We know he has some sophisticated trading algorithm and bots. That's how he made his billions in the first place. It wouldn't surprise me he's still running those behind the scenes. And maybe the reason why there's so much volume on FTX, because it's more than 10x of Binance. And Binance overall has 10x the number of users and trading volume. So how can one exchange that's 10 times smaller than Binance have 10 times more volume when it comes to leverage? And it's not even something that really tout either. Not like Bybit. Bybit is known for being a leverage exchange. That's how they made their name for themselves. You know, still curious, real curious about that. But overall, know that Bitcoin right now seems to have broken this trend where it's correlated with NASDAQ and tech. I know it's just for a few days, but we will see where this goes. We know that volatility of Bitcoin has dropped below S&P 500 and NASDAQ for the first time since, I think the statistics it was since 2000, since I forget when. It was really a long time ago. I think since 2018 or something like that, right? And let's see if this can continue. Obviously, there's a lot of people that are turning to Bitcoin right now. NASDAQ futures down almost 2%. And, you know, over the last year, I would say there was a huge correlation between Bitcoin and NASDAQ and just overall U.S. markets. Normally speaking, when you see this kind of opening, you're going to see Bitcoin follow. But that's not what's happening right now. And the bell. There you go. The bell just rung. And you can see Bitcoin is not going down. In fact, it's going up 20,500, a little bit higher than yesterday. Now, what is this crucial resistance I'm referring to? Well, we know, yesterday I covered this, that Bitcoin has broken out of this huge downtrend line since November, since 69,000, all the way down to where we were. It finally broke through, but breaking through is only the start. after you break through, of course, you got to break through some of these previous highs. And yeah, Bitcoin has been stuck at 19,000 for quite some time. Didn't break above this 20,400 until today. So that's step number one. Then there's other levels, of course. Here's another one, 22,800. Then after that, we're heading close to 25,000. So one step at a time, right? Due to the macro conditions. Look at this headline, 32-year high inflation for Australians. What are they doing? They're flocking to Bitcoin. And I've been telling you guys this. It's slow. Yes, adoption is slow, but more and more people are turning to Bitcoin. There's a lot of countries that suffer from hyperinflation. They really have no place to put their money other than Bitcoin. But even places that don't have hyperinflation, just normal inflation like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, it's still pretty bad. And if you're learning about how we got here, how governments kind of created this inflation issue, well, then you're not going to be very pro-fiat. You're going to be more pro-Bitcoin, right? So this is pretty good. And I'm sure this is happening around the world, too. More and more people are starting to learn. And that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, outside of just Australians flocking to Bitcoin, there are a few other interesting TA. For example, here's one that shows the capitulation of 2018, that washout drop of 45%. We experienced that, 40%, a little bit less. But does that mean we're about to repeat what happened in 2019 upwards? Quite possibly. Here's something else that's showing a breakout of RSI. This is on a weekly scale, right? Very, very similar. And here's showing the double bottom, right? These are all TA signs and indicators that traders use, right? Now, a lot of this, I always say, you got to take it with a grain of salt. 50-50 could happen, but most of these I'm showing are on a bigger time scale, weekly or monthly. And sometimes you do see a rhythm between certain periods, right? And right now, there are some signs that show that we're close to what happened to 2015's bottom and also 2018's bottom. So these are all very positive things, encouraging things to look forward to. Now, also, we got big institutions still jumping in, even though this is not Bitcoin related, but it does show you that institutions are also FOMOing. We hear a lot about institutions now jumping into the space, offering trading services, offering custodian services. Here's one. You see a custodian service for NFTs now. If you have a CryptoPunk or a Bored Ape that's worth hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars and you don't feel safe safeguarding your own NFT, well, you could give it to a bank and let them hold it for you. Although if you think about that, that's what we're trying to get away from. We're trying to be more decentralized. We're trying to be self-custodians, be our own bank, so no one can say yes or no to transactions or yes or no in terms of you withdrawing your own assets, right? So if you give your NFT to a bank and somehow they say, no, you can't withdraw it, well, then you're kind of screwed. So I'm not sure if this is a good idea at all, but I will say that the growing FOMO from the banks and institutions is also positive. This is definitely, Bitcoin and the entire industry is definitely led by retail, and now institutions are playing catch up, trying to FOMO them back in. All right, what else is there? Let's see. Vietnam, besides Australia, Southeast Asia, leads world in crypto adoption. So a lot of you guys heard of Axie Infinity, still one of the biggest games in Southeast Asia, but breaking down the countries, Vietnam, Philippines, according to this article, 25% of Filipinos and Vietnamese people play to earn games. I think that number is very high, but if that's true, 25% of the population do, that's absolutely enormous. Following these two countries, you have Ukraine, interesting enough, possibly because of the devastation. People don't know how else to earn money, so they're utilizing crypto and play their own games, possibly. But we see Ukraine at number 3, India number 4, United States at 5. Then you have Pakistan, Brazil, Thailand, Russia, and China. But it's interesting that Vietnam and Philippines are leading the way. Also, it makes sense because the amount that they can make by playing something like Axie Infinity actually can supplement or cover their entire day-to-day income. So it could be their main prime income source or just a really good secondary source. So good stuff. BNB is introducing a 10 million fund to incentivize project growth on the blockchain. It's pretty good. That's actually quite small if you think about it. I expected that number to be bigger, like 100 million, because we're so used to that. So it's actually quite small, but it's good overall. And then lastly, I did see this. You know, this has nothing to do with crypto, but a lot of you guys know what's going on with Twitter and Elon. Elon said he's going to fire 75% of the workforce. I don't know if this is a joke or not. I don't think it is, but this supposedly is a letter from the workers to Elon, okay? Demanding that he basically doesn't change and fire anyone. So, respect. We demand leadership to respect the platform and workers who will maintain it by committing to preserving the current headcount. So, don't dare to fire anyone. The safety. We demand that leadership does not discriminate against workers on the basis of race, gender, disability, sexual orientation, or political belief. Okay. We also demand safety of workers on visas who will be forced to leave the country they work in if they are laid off. Again, don't fire anyone. We demand Elon Musk to explicitly commit to preserve our benefits. Okay, the benefits that made Twitter the way it is, which is pretty toxic, and those both listed in a merger agreement and an e.g. remote work. So don't get rid of our remote work. We demand leadership to establish and ensure fair severance policies for all workers before and after any change. So if you are going to fire us, make sure we get maximum amount of severance. We demand transparent, prompt, and thoughtful communication around the working conditions. We demand to be treated with dignity and not be treated as mere pawns in a game played by billionaires. Okay. I just have to, you know, it's laughable and irritating, and it shows how clueless some people are when it comes to the real world. You don't get to demand nothing, okay? There's no loyalty there. You're paid for your work. I think the biggest misconception with young people is thinking that their workplace owes them anything. They don't. Just like if you leave, you don't owe the workplace anything, right? If you choose to leave, and there's a lot of people in Silicon Valley that jumps jobs every 6 to 12 months, what do you owe the company that you left? Nothing. You did your job. You did it well, right? You got paid for it. That's it. So in reverse, if you don't do well, the company needs to make a change. They don't owe you jack shit, okay? So it's just really, it's frustrating, irritating, and laughable at the same time. That's why I just had to read that for you guys. All right. Going back to the U.S. market, NASDAQ still down 2%. Mortgage demand from home buyers is nearly half of what it was because interest rates is now above 7%. So obviously the U.S. market is slowing down. So I know everyone's waiting for next week's big FOMC meeting. What is Powell going to do with the softening in the economy? Is he still going to be hawkish, or is he going to be dovish and drive markets higher? And then we get that really nice year-end rally. And UK is also waiting for that too. The new Prime Minister Rishi is waiting until November 17th to declare any new finance plans. He needs some time to think about it. So we'll see what happens in the UK as well.